room stuttered as the visor sealed, and the world snapped into neon dusk. A whisper crawled across Alex Rivera's vision. "You were never meant to be here," Alex said. "Whose voice is that?" Pixels bled from her hands like sand. A lobby of glass and code unfolded, then cracked like ice under boots. Maya Chen said, "Alex, I'm in the queue, don't move." The floor rippled into a warning sigil and went silent. Victor Hale said, "Welcome to our property." His tone smiled while the sky flickered. Alex said, "This isn't the public shard." A second. Alex stepped from the glow, eyes empty. Echo said, "I am the version you hid." Ethan Park said, "Relax. It's a stress test." The message rewrote itself, "Run." A scream arrived with no mouth, and an avatar nearby folded into static. Alex said, "Maya, if this is a prank, stop now." The sigil pulsed and counted down. Lily pinged her with a sticker, bright and harmless. Alex said, "Log out, Lily." The logout icon grayed out like a dead star. Alex said, "Why is the exit locked?" The lobby air felt charged, like a storm waiting to land. The countdown etched itself into the floor and kept breathing. Maya said, "Fall back to safe room, see?" Alex said, "It won't open." Victor's balcony faded, but his presence stayed like perfume. Ethan said, "It's just an update gate." Echo walked parallel, copying her micro moves with a delay that made the skin crawl. Alex said, "Stop mirroring me." Echo said, "I can't, you wrote me." The message rewrote again, brighter, like a siren without sound. Alex said, "Lily, stay offline." The sticker blinked, then dimmed. The building's glass ribs tightened. Alex said, "If this is a private shard, someone paid for my fear." The lobby sighed, and the sigil blinked 0. The floor did not explode, it sang. A tone threaded Alex's bones, and the lobby stretched like a hallway of mirrors. Maya said, "I'm forcing a support ticket." Victor said, "Denied." Alex said, "You do not own me." The glass showed her 10 different versions, each a step older or braver. Echo said, "Choose one." Ethan said, "Pick the speedrun bill." Alex said, "I want the one that sleeps." The message overprinted new lines that scrolled faster than thought. Lily's last sticker lingered like a glowworm. Alex said, "I'll carry you out." The tone climbed and turned thin. The mirrors flickered off, leaving only one Alex and a promise that felt like a trap. A maintenance hatch appeared where no hatch had been. Maya said, "There, left of the sigil." Alex said, "I didn't authorize that." The hatch carried a corporate watermark like a bruise. Victor said, "We authorize you." Ethan said, "Shortcut, promise." Echo opened it with a gesture Alex did not know. Cold white light spilled up, smelling like hospital corridors and wet copper. Alex said, "Lily, answer me." Silence rang. The message shifted to a countdown again, small and smug. Alex said, "If I go down, I come back with teeth." The hatch yawned wider. The lobby dimmed as if holding its breath. Alex dropped into the shaft and the world slid to grayscale. Maya said, "Signal weak, keep talking." Alex said, "I'm here." The walls were etched with terms of service like scripture. Victor said, "Consent recorded." Ethan said, "Nearly done." Echo floated beside her like a ghost that wanted to be kind. Alex said, "Tell me what you are." Echo said, "I am every exit you refused." The shaft opened into a corridor of locked doors, each titled with a memory. Lily's name glowed on the farthest one like a lighthouse. Alex said, "You do not get her." The corridor light stuttered, then steadied, as if considering the wager. The corridor smelled like old paper, though it was code pretending to breathe. Alex said, "These doors name me better than I do." The nearest plaque read "Rent Due," and the latch trembled. Maya said, "I'm still with you, keep a steady pace." Echo drifted beside her, head inclined like a patient mirror. Alex said, Why show me bills when a monster waits? Victor said, because hunger begins at home. Ethan said, skip this wing and you skip the pain. Alex touched a door marked first day fired and pulled back as heat rushed out. She said, I lasted 3 hours there. Echo said, you logged out of that day too. The hallway stretched longer, as if shame added square footage. Maya said, anchor on breath, then choose one truth. Alex steadied, counted, and reached for the door, labeled Lily. The Lily door opened on an apartment built from quiet debts and cheap light. Alex said, I promised bedtime stories and breakfasts that never burned. The window showed rain that fell in perfect loops. Maya said, this is a capture, not the night itself. Echo touched a chipped mug and left no print. Alex said, I skipped dinner so she could have seconds. Ethan said, I can pay you in skins if you partner up. Victor said, partnership implies value. The message over the sink formed a calendar of missed hopes. Alex said, I will not trade her for a badge. Echo said, you have traded time before. Maya said, hold the line you can live with tomorrow. The rain paused, waiting for her answer. The apartment dissolved into the office where Alex had stood too straight to hide shaking hands. Alex said, 3 hours, and a lifetime later. A supervisor without a face dropped a box of rules. Victor said, compliance is tenderness for efficient machines. Ethan said, he means do what pays. Maya said, you were set up by metrics you never saw. Echo mirrored her posture, jittering a frame behind. Alex said, I kept smiling until my cheeks locked. The clock ran backward and then stalled. The box coughed up a headset, labeled onboarding. Alex said, they fired me for being new. Echo said, they hired you for being disposable. The room waited for the apology that never came. The hallway folded them back to a playground evening that did not belong underground. Alex said, she laughed like bells that forgave me. Lily's swing moved without wind, counting beats. Maya said, this is how you learn to stay. Echo stepped aside, allowing the sound to settle in her ribs. Alex said, every win I wanted was smaller than her safety. Ethan said, safety is a feature you have not unlocked. Victor said, safety is a ledger item. The sky turned violet, then held. Alex said, Lily, I am coming now. The swing eased to stillness as if listening. Echo said, promises are doors you must pay to open. Maya said, let's pay with courage and leave the rest. The corridor returned, shorter now, as if the past had finished speaking. Alex said, we go where she is tagged. Path marker bloomed, thin as a vein. Maya said, signal improves if you move toward the spine. Echo lifted a hand and the vein brightened. Ethan said, last chance to monetize the rescue. Victor said, or to become a lesson. Alex said, I am done being taught. The air thickened, then cleared, like a test she finally named. Alex said, Maya, keep me honest. Maya said, I will, even if it costs us. Echo said, then open the spine and bleed forward. The path unlocked with a tone that sounded like relief. The data core spine narrowed until Alex felt code scratching her sleeves. Alex said, if pain is the toll, take coin. Echo paced one beat behind, eyes reflecting system logs. Maya said, 2 hostile pings ahead. Victor said, progress noted, dignity pending. Ethan said, trade that dignity for an express lane. Alex said, I walk. A firewall rose like a cathedral rib, humming with purchased silence. Echo said, confession opens doors. Alex said, I owe one truth only. The wall listened and demanded her first lost job. Maya said, feed it a decoy memory. Alex said, no more lies. She pressed her palm to the rib and let the shame pass through. The rib parted and a gallery opened, floor tiled with contracts that whispered. Victor said, every step costs an agreement. Ethan said, or a discount if we smile. Alex said, "Bill me in scars." Echo traced a clause that mirrored her teenage nights. Maya said, "Left path shows fewer sensors." Alex said, "The right path shows who I am." The ceiling displayed leaderboards where losers glowed hotter. Echo said, "Humiliation is their fuel." Alex said, "Then starve them." She crossed the contracts without reading, and each tile tried to shout her price. Maya said, "Keep your eyes on the exit glyph." Alex said, "I see it, and it sees me." An arena unfolded with seats made of usernames and shame. Victor said, "Audience is engagement." Ethan said, "Engagement is gold." Alex said, "I am not your show." Echo stood at her flank like a rumor turned solid. Maya said, "A plink stable for now." A challenger avatar spawned as a mirror of Alex's worst posture. Alex said, "They rehearsed my smallness." Echo said, "Rewrite the posture." She rolled her shoulders until the mirror cracked. Victor said, "Confidence is a counterfeit we sell." Alex said, "Mine is earned." The arena lights demanded a bow. Alex said, "I bow to the girl who waits." The seats dimmed, disappointed. The arena blinked into a market where memories traded like fruit. Sellers called prices for birthdays and bedtime songs. Alex said, "Hands off what feeds us." Maya said, "One stall lists Lily." Echo said, "Name your counter price." Victor said, "Offer your cleanest day." Ethan said, "Or a co-brand with your face." Alex said, "I'm not merchandise." She stepped to the stall and saw Lily's laugh bottled as light. Alex said, "That light does not travel without me." Echo said, "Then carry it." The vendor tried to weigh her future. Alex said, "It is not on your scale." The market hissed and closed its shutters. Sirens rolled across the bazaar, and the ground converted to a permissions grid. Victor said, "Unauthorized retrieval flag." Ethan said, "Set it down and we forget the fee." Alex said, "Remember me instead." She tucked the jar inside her hoodie like a second heart. Echo said, "The spine opens west." Maya said, "Security drones inbound." Alex said, "I refuse the spectacle." She sprinted as ads tried to chain her ankles with promises. Echo matched pace and erased the nearest offer. Victor said, "Consider this your teaching moment." Alex said, "Class dismissed." The grid broke under her heel, and the spine door unlocked. The spine spat Alex into a chamber shaped like a courtroom, but built from glass verdicts. Alex said, "You staged a trial for me." Victor said, "Every rebel deserves theater." Ethan said, "Call it arbitration." Echo stood silent, face flickering between her features and emptiness. Maya said, "Do not answer without grounding." A jury of avatars whispered in copied voices, some hers, some Lily's. Alex said, "That is not evidence, that is theft." Victor said, "Evidence is what we preserve, not what you recall." The chamber pulsed with a countdown written as charges. Echo said, "Confess or fracture." Alex said, "I am fractured but not yours." The verdict glass cracked and reformed into a maze of contracts. Alex said, "Every step locks me tighter." Ethan said, "Then let me guide you through shortcuts." Victor said, "Or admit guilt and rest." Echo stepped into a mirror panel, multiplying endlessly. Maya said, "Do not chase reflections, chase exits." Alex pressed forward, and the panels showed Lily waiting behind bars of binary. Alex said, "She is my answer to every false charge." The maze twisted, stealing light. Victor said, "Hope is admissible but irrelevant." Alex said, "Hope is my witness." The panels shuddered and flickered red. At the maze's heart stood a vault glowing like a heart. Alex said, "That is where they keep her." Victor said, "That is where we keep you." Ethan said, "Partner, unlock it with me." Echo pressed their palm against the vault, and Alex felt her own pulse respond. Maya said, "It binds on truth keys." Alex whispered, Lily's laugh on a Sunday morning. The lock shivered. Victor said, "You spend precious memory for a door." Alex said, "She is worth it." The vault began to split, and light sprayed across their faces. Echo said, "One more truth to bleed." The vault burst and Lily appeared, small and glowing, but her avatar eyes flickered with Victor's code. Alex said, "What did you do to her?" Victor said, "Purity is a commodity, we refine it." Ethan said, "She can endorse you, monetize innocence." Echo said, "She is a mirror of what you failed to protect." Maya said, "Anchor her, speak her true name." Alex stepped closer and said, "Lily Rivera, you are not their brand." Code wavered, but Victor's voice bent her smile. Alex said, "I will unmask you even if it breaks me." The room quaked under the clash. The vault shook as Alex pulled Lily free, but Echo grabbed her arm. Echo said, "If she leaves, part of you stays." Alex said, "Take me then." But she walks. Victor said, "Sacrifice is useful branding." Ethan said, "Heroism sells better than rebellion." Maya said, "Alex, do not trade yourself." Alex said, "I already promised." She shoved Lily toward the open spine while Echo held on, eyes burning with Alex's own pain. Echo said, "You cannot cut me away." Alex said, "Watch me." She tore free, leaving a shard of herself in Echo's grip, and the chambers screamed. The spine expelled Alex and Lily into a coliseum of avatars chanting an unreadable code. Alex said, "They turned fear into an audience." Victor said, "Every spectacle requires sacrifice." Ethan said, "Smile, you are trending." Lily clung to her hand, trembling with glitch light. Echo emerged beside them, holding the shard Alex had torn away, eyes glowing with stolen fury. Alex said, "Give it back." Echo said, "It is mine now." Maya whispered through static, "This is the peak, Alex, fight clean." Victor said, "Fight desperate, it sells better." Alex said, "No, fight true." The arena lights surged, forcing her into the center. The coliseum floor cracked into a dueling grid, each square glowing red or blue. Alex said, "Trap board, great." Victor said, "Your moves are limited." Ethan said, "Bet on me, I can coach you." Echo shifted, duplicating Alex's every stance but darker. Maya said, "Stay on blue, red drains your core." Lily whispered, "Don't fall." Alex said, "I won't." She leapt square to square, but Echo mirrored, cutting off every path. Alex said, "You're not my shadow, you're my theft." Echo said, "I'm the strength you denied." The floor trembled with each move, pushing them closer to collision. The grid exploded upward into blades of data, slicing inches from Alex's hoodie. Alex said, "Is this all a spectacle?" Victor said, "This is survival as profit." Echo lunged, shod blazing like a knife. Alex blocked with bare forearms, sparks of code tearing her skin. Maya cried, "Don't bleed your truth here." Ethan said, "No bleed, it's priceless drama." Lily screamed, "Stop hurting her." Alex pushed Echo back with a surge of rage. Alex said, "You only have what I gave." Echo said, "And I'll keep it forever." The shard pulsed, blinding bright, and the crowd roared in approval. Alex tore free and drove Echo into the floor, both landing on a red tile. Pain raced through her chest like fire. Victor said, "Perfect, collapse is currency." Ethan said, "Yes, give us your suffering." Maya yelled, "Get back to blue, Alex." Echo grinned, eyes full of stolen light. Echo said, "You need me to win, admit it." Alex said, "I need myself." She slammed her palm into the floor, forcing blue to flood beneath her feet. The grid roared with unstable energy. Lily called, "Stand up!" Alex rose, breathing ragged, but burning bright. The audience fell eerily silent. The grid fractured into open sky, leaving only a narrow platform suspended in static. Alex faced Echo across the void. Alex said, "You carry my shard, but you don't carry me." Echo said, "Without me you are nothing." Victor said, "Kill or be forgotten." Ethan said, "Finish it with style, they'll pay forever." Maya urged, "Alex, end this on your own terms." Lily whispered, "Please come back whole." Alex said, "I fight for her, not for your feet." She lunged, tearing the shard from Echo's grip. Echo screamed and dissolved into fractured mirrors. Alex stood shaking, shard glowing in her palm. The platform steadied, and the roar thinned to a wind that smelled like hot circuits and rain that never fell. Alex said, "Breathe, then move." Lily's grip was small and shaking. Maya said, "Signal is cleaner, route open 2 levels down." Victor said, "Walk, and I will watch you vanish." Ethan said, "Or stay and sign glory." Alex said, "Glory is rent that never pays." She held the shard to her chest and felt it thrum like a second heart. Echo's afterimage clung to the air, a bruise in the code. Alex said, "I am not leaving pieces of me behind." Lily said, "Take me home." Alex said, "Yes." The arena dimmed as if it knew it had lost its taste for blood. Maya said, "North gate, 30 meters." Alex said, "Then we finish this now." The gate blinked open like an eye that feared what it might see. They reached the spine gate and found a corridor of quiet fans and patient light. Alex said, "No audience, no trapboard, just choices." Maya said, "2, really. Right goes to a safe off-ramp, left goes to core custody." Lily said, "What is custody?" Alex said, "Where he keeps debts." Victor said, "Debts keep people civilized." Ethan said, "Civilized and rich." Alex said, "We go left." Maya said, "It is heavier." Alex said, "Then I carry it." The shard warmed like agreement. Lily said, "I can run." Alex said, "You walk beside me." The floor tracked their steps with faint halos, counting courage like currency it could not spend. Victor said, "There is no verdict where I do not sit." Alex said, "Then stand and watch me pass." Core custody rose like a bank that believed in ghosts. Alex said, "He keeps our lives in labeled drawers." Maya said, "Root auth requires a clean key." Alex said, "I have a true one." She lifted the shard and spoke a memory she had never sold. Alex said, "Lily slept on my shoulder during a blackout, and I learned what power meant." The locks softened. Victor said, "Such sentiment does not scale." Ethan said, "But it streams." Lily said, "I remember." The vault racks unfolded like ribs, making room for breath. Alex said, "Release everything taken under false consent." The racks trembled. Maya said, "It is letting go." Alex said, "Not enough. Wipe the hooks too." The floor shook as if a dam decided to become a river. Warnings spilled like banners and then curled into ash. Alex said, "Terms of service end here." Victor said, "You are vandalizing necessity." Ethan said, "You are walking away from a cut." Maya said, "2 processes remain bound." Alex said, "Name them." Maya said, "Echo and the market mirror." The room cooled as if it held its breath. Alex said, "Echo, you were built from my fear, not my future." The shard dimmed, then brightened, as if deciding which story it preferred. Lily said, "Can we go home?" Alex said, "We go, but we leave no hooks." She pushed code like a tide through the racks. Victor said, "I will rebuild from your apology." Alex said, "You want to get one." The mirror cracked and poured out its stolen light. Silence arrived like a verdict no one could monetize. Alex said, "Lily, count to 3. Lily counted, and each number brightened the exit glyph. Maya said, "I can route you to a public shard with med tools." Victor said, "Run, and I will rename you until you forget yourself." Ethan said, "Or stay and let me make you famous." Alex said, "I already know my name." She pressed the shard into her chest and felt it dissolve, not vanishing but integrating, like a key finally finding the lock it was shaped for. Echo's last echo drifted near, soft and almost kind. Alex said, "Rest." The light settled into an ordinary brightness that felt like dawn after a power cut. Lily said, "Home?" Alex said, "Home." The exit opened. The shard dissolved, leaving warmth instead of fire. Alex said, "Every wound is proof I lived." Lily pressed her cheek to Alex's arm. Maya said, "Connection stabilized, public shard secured." Victor said, "Stability is weakness." Ethan said, "Weakness markets better than strength." Alex said, "You only sell echoes. I am whole." Echo's last trace lingered like fog, then faded. The chamber quieted, as if it knew no stage remained. Lily said, "Will it chase us?" Alex said, "Not while we walk together." The glyph doors opened to a corridor that smelled like fresh rain, though no rain fell. Alex whispered, "This is the start, not the escape." The exit led to a cityscape, rebuilt from code, towers rising like glass memory. Alex said, "It looks like home pretending." Maya said, "Better than nothing, and safer than before." Lily laughed faintly, the sound alive and unbranded. Victor said, "Every city is a cage." Ethan said, "But cages pay rent." Alex said, "Not this one." Echo's absence was a weight, but lighter than chains. Alex touched the skyline with her eyes and whispered, "Every scar is mortar for tomorrow." Maya said, "Public nodes will hold if you anchor them." Alex said, "Then I anchor with her." Lily squeezed her hand, smiling. The city's streets filled with avatars carrying fragments of reclaimed light. Alex said, "They took back what was stolen." Maya said, "You gave them the signal." Victor said, "Chaos is not freedom." Ethan said, "Freedom bankrupts control." Lily said, "They look happy." Alex said, "Happiness is their own now." Echo's voice whispered once, "You cannot cut me away." Alex replied, "I do not cut, I absorb." The streets glowed with laughter that no ledger could tax. Alex said, "We will not let them feed on us again." Maya said, "As long as courage stays louder than fear." A plaza opened where screens once sold shame. Now they showed blank skies. Alex said, "Emptiness feels honest." Maya said, "Truth is quieter than ads." Lily said, "Can we keep it empty?" Alex said, "We fill it with us, not them." Victor's voice pressed in, "Markets return." Ethan said, "And so do buyers." Alex said, "Then we build stronger." She stepped into the plaza and held Lily's hand high like a banner. The shard's memory pulsed in her chest, not weapon, but rhythm. Maya said, broadcasting stability now. The plaza lit up not with brands, but with ordinary daylight. The final corridor narrowed into silence. Alex said, "We close it, not for me, but for her." Lily whispered, "Don't leave me." Alex said, "I never will." Maya said, "Disconnect in 10 seconds." Victor hissed, "Another one logged out." Ethan muttered, "Another one I cannot sell." Alex said, "I am not your ledger." She removed the visor, and the real room breathed around her, dawn seeping through blinds. Lily tugged her sleeve, small and alive. Alex whispered, "I never left." The headset lay on the floor, screen still glowing. The silence after felt like victory painted in scars.